During this demo, we will be deploying a SQL Server Availability Group in Kubernetes using Rancher and a DxEnterprise Helm chart. Okay, the first thing we need to do is open the dashboard to Rancher and log in. Now that we're logged in, we're going to select our cluster. In this cluster, we currently have 3 worker nodes. These worker nodes are all running Ubuntu 18.04 with K3s. We have a secret configured called DXE, and that contains our DX passkey and the MS SQL SA password. And then all we need to do is come to Apps and then Charts. And we'll look at partner charts and we'll search for DH2i. Below is our Helm chart. Select it and then navigate to the Install button. In the system, we'll pick a name for you. Our name is DxEMS SQL. Then you hit Next, and we want it to have 3 replicas. We also want it to use the DXE Kubernetes secret that I showed earlier, and then we want to select the DxEnterprise, and it needs a license key. We can now copy this license key in there, and then we have to say yes to accept the EULA. And for IP address reasons, I want to make this vhost 5, and then all the rest of the options can be left at default. Then, under SQL Server, you need to pick your edition, and then you need to also say yes again to accept the EULA. Then navigate to the bottom of the screen and click Install. You can see here it is doing the DxEMS SQL installation. Our deployment was successful, and we have 3 pods up. So now you can go ahead and close out of the log. As you can see, we have a successfully deployed app called DxEMS SQL. Then we can look at our workload, and we have a stateful set deployed DxEMS SQL. The stateful set has 3 pods assigned to it with 2 containers each. So one of those containers is DxEnterprise, and one of those containers is Microsoft SQL Server. If we open up an SSH session to one of our worker nodes, we can look at those pods. We can see that all 3 pods are up with 2 containers each, and they're all in a running state. After this, we need to look at our services. The services are where we can find where we are going to connect our DxAdmin. So we want to connect the DxAdmin at 10.2.283. After DxAdmin opens, we can enter our passkey. After entering that, we are now connected to the Rancher deployment of DxEnterprise. So we can see we have our 3 nodes and we have an availability group. We can connect to 10.2.282 and enter in our login information for SQL Server Management Studio. Then we also want to add a database here so that we can add it to the availability group. And we'll call this TestDB. Now we have added another database. So we can come back to DxAdmin and right-click on our AG1 and select Manage Availability Databases and add that database. It's going to seed that database and then do a copy and restore on each of the nodes. There we go. So now that database is synchronized across all the nodes. Then the next best thing to show here is the high availability pieces of the system. We can come into our pods here, and I can select this as our primary pod, and I can delete this pod. As you can see, it goes into termination. And if we come back to DxAdmin, we can see that our availability group moved over to DxEMS SQL 1. And it's already connected to the remaining replicas. And because we have a stateful set, we can see it will automatically redeploy the pod that we just deleted. That pod has already rejoined the cluster, and now it's going to rejoin the availability group once it comes up. So you can see it is now connected, and it's going to resynchronize the database. And there we go. That concludes our demonstration of deploying DxEnterprise via Helm chart with Rancher and demonstrating an automatic failover.